The value in graphite sits in processing.
Mhm.
So what you want to be able to do is control that part of the market in our view,
Mhm.
and that's very much been our philosophy since we've been listed.
International Graphite has signed a memorandum of understanding with Italian chemical group Alkeemia S.p.A. to establish a graphite processing facility in Europe. Joining me to discuss how this helps IG6 push into Western battery materials supply chains is Managing Director and CEO Andrew Worland. Andrew, it's always good to see you.
You too, Jonathan. How are you?
So, Andrew, let's talk through this MOU. What makes Alkeemia the right partner for international graphite in Europe? And talk us through the details as well.
Well, Alkeemia have one of the well, they are one of the most significant suppliers of hydrofluoric acid and manufacturers of hydrofluoric acid in Europe. They've just recently completed an $80 million capital campaign to increase their production to just over 40,000 tonnes of HF. And that would make them a real Western world leader in the supply of HF. Now, HF's the only true and commercial reagent that's used in the purification of graphite, in particularly in the anode space. And so they are an obvious partner of choice from a technical perspective to allow us to get access to high value graphite products. They're, um, they've also seen and identified a real demand opportunity for both their chemical supply, but also in the graphite industry to shore up that European supply of graphite products and really diversify Europe's consumption out of the China stranglehold that it currently has on processed graphite.
I just want to go off tack a little bit. When we talk about purification, what are we actually talking about when we're talking about purification of graphite?
Yep. So you're looking to improve the purity of graphite from the the graphite contained in a concentrate, which is produced by a mining operation, to what's actually used in the high specialty industries and applications, including anodes. So, generally speaking, 99% plus is regarded as high purity. And for battery anode, you're looking at 99.95%. And the only tried, commercially proven uh, reagent pathway for that is hydrofluoric acid. And that would take a typical graphite concentrate of 94 to 95% up to that 99% level of purity.
Which is where you want to be, particularly with what you guys are doing. Let's get back to the MOU. Let's talk through, I guess, how it helps IG6 get into production faster and at a lower cost.
So uh, the amazing characteristics of this particular opportunity for us is all of the infrastructure and capability that Alkeemia bring to the table, as well as their local, clearly their local operational knowledge. So Alkeemia will provide land, they'll provide warehousing, they'll provide waste disposal capability, conduct all the permitting on their site, which is already an industrial permitted site. We'll bring the plant capital and the IP to the project. So it really is a merger of IP and processing capability to all of the ancillary infrastructure tie-ins that you need to build a fully integrated processing operation. So you need both. And clearly, having that capability and that operating capability is an enormous advantage for any company trying to build these facilities. So a lot of those issues that you would have otherwise from having to do something from Western Australia disappear with this sort of arrangement. So, the value that they bring to the table here is considerable and well beyond what I guess a dollar for dollar contribution assessment could be. So we think we feel remarkably privileged to join with Alkeemia. And we see it as just a stepping stone to a much larger relationship and hopefully a real potential dominance of the Western graphite supply chain.
Yeah. And you mentioned processing plant there. It's in the Porto Marghera. Why that location? What makes that location so good?
Well, clearly you can move materials in and out quickly, so it's a significant container hub. So all of our graphite concentrates that will be processed will go through an existing transport and infrastructure network. As I said before, it's a permitted industrial site, and so all of the challenges one may typically have when permitting a virgin site don't don't exist in this particular operation. They have all of the administrative functionality there as well. And so literally we don't have to build anything or bring anything to the table other than the specific bespoke plant for this operation. So the whole jurisdiction just lends itself perfectly well.
Andrew, graphite demand in Europe is growing. What do you put that down to? And how can this, I guess, processing plant and what you're doing feed into all of that?
Well, the EU is seeking to ensure that at least 40% of critical raw materials that's consumed within Europe has a processing component within Europe. So that's part of diversifying the supply chain, and that's where this real opportunity arises for us is to process concentrates that are generated from Europe and Africa and Australia, and then process them in Europe, and you've got a completely dedicated source of that has limited jurisdictional risk. So that's a real positive for European consumers and customers. And so that's in a gap that exists in the market today. And then of course you've got the growth engines, which are just your continual 3 to 5% application industrial applications for graphite, and more broadly the anode as well, which is clearly still part of the stationary storage and electric vehicle demand equation.
So by what we've just discussed now, this really does fit well into your overall strategy.
It sure does. The value in graphite sits in processing. So what you want to be able to do is control that part of the market in our view, and that's very much been our philosophy since we've been listed. We've been we've been very focused on trying to develop a supply chain with a focus on the processing side. Our mine down at Springdale will eventually one day be part of that dedicated supply chain. But for the moment, the real value is in developing these processing facilities. They're characterized by low capital costs, high margins, and short time frames to cash flow.
So never short of news. And this is a big one. But what's next for the company?
Well, in terms of the relationship with Alkeemia in Europe, we're in advanced discussions with sales groups in respect of products that we'll be selling out of the European facility, the Italian facility. We'll also continue developing our Collie micronizing plant. We're due a building permit for that, and that really opens the door then to the advanced construction phase for that. So this time next year, we anticipate being in production at Collie. So a lot of those necessary building blocks are coming together very nicely for the two production facilities that we're looking to develop over the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, it's all happening for you, and yeah, look forward to following the story over that time. Andrew, good luck with it all, and thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Jonathan. Look forward to talking to you again.